Hello everyone, my name is Qisheng. I'm presenting our SS paper, How Online Tests Contribute to the Support System for People with Cognitive and Mental Disabilities. This is a joint work with Josephine, Christina, Zhang, and my advisor Katharina Reinecke from the University of Washington. According to National Institute of Mental Health, at least 1 in 3 people around the world have experienced a cognitive or mental disability at some point in their lives. Some examples of cognitive and mental disabilities include autism, ADHD, bipolar disorder, depression, dyslexia, dyscalculia, and conditions like traumatic brain injury. The problem is that diagnosing these conditions is super difficult due to not only the in-process diagnostic thresholds and high risk of comorbidity, but also the lack of access to healthcare professionals. Because of the barriers, people who suspect a cognitive or mental disability frequently turn to online resources, including online tests and assessments which people use to self-assess their cognitive performance and behavioral functions. Here we show an example of online tests, SP Quiz, a popular questionnaire developed by an independent researcher. These tests are usually followed by a results page that tells participants where they stand. What has been unknown is whether these tests actually support people with cognitive and mental disabilities, and whether they contribute to the existing support systems, and what are the opportunities and challenges of using online tests for people with cognitive or mental disabilities. To answer these questions, we conduct semi-structured interviews with 17 participants recruited from online forums where disability-related online tests are frequently shared. Our participants are between 18 and 60 years old. All but 2 participants were from the United States. 8 people identified as male, 8 as female, and 1 as non-binary. We organized our results around 4 themes, which I will briefly go through one by one. I won't have time to go over all our findings, so please refer to our paper for more details. We first find our participants often use online tests as a first step to learn more about themselves, especially when a professional diagnosis was out of reach, which turned out to be not uncommon. P14, for instance, who suspects he may be on the autism spectrum, said, "It's not so much a question of why did you not get a diagnosis, or why did you not want diagnosis. It's a question of the steps to get a diagnosis not being exactly clear." P14 instead did significant research into the difficulties that a person on the autism spectrum might face, contemplated how those difficulties may relate to his own life, and took many online autism tests, all of which indicated he was likely on the autism spectrum. He later commented, "The online tests made me confident enough in my own knowledge to expect that if I was to speak with a diagnostician, I probably would receive the diagnosis of autism." We also find that rather than being fully supportive, family members often stood in the way of getting diagnosis, even though our participants sometimes had to rely on family members to make a professional diagnosis possible. P8, for example, first realized she may be different from others when she was 12, but did not seek professional help until college because her mom has always been someone that denied things being wrong, even though she is a social worker herself. P8 instead started using online tests to better understand herself. "I've taken like every psychometric quiz that exists. They definitely make you self-reflect a little bit, just trying to understand yourself." Our second theme exposed that online tests can fill gaps left open by a lack of support after people receive a professional diagnosis and could even help forming a new identity. Participants who had previously received a diagnosis commonly felt they did not receive enough information or support from the psychiatrist to understand how the condition might affect their lives and how they can mitigate the negative impact. In particular, the diagnoses were often conveyed as a static condition that cannot be changed, which created a sense of hopelessness and felt like a lifetime sentence of failure, as P7 described it. Similarly, P5, who was diagnosed with borderline personality disorder, revealed to us, "It would have been nice to be told that this is the treatment for it. With BPD, it took a long time for me to realize that I wasn't destined to live like this forever, and I don't think that was communicated to me very well." Participants were also disappointed about receiving no or little information about the nuances of their disability, such as how it might express itself in particular situations or what other cognitive functions it may affect. P5 noted, There are so many symptoms of BPD. It can be really difficult to figure out which one is the most urgent to address. To reduce this complexity and better understand specific aspects of their diagnosis, some of our participants turned to online tests. What was also common in our interviews was to employ online tests for keeping track of changes in their mental state and ability. This form of longitudinal self-experimentation appears to be especially valuable for people who experience long-term effects. For example, P8 told us that she has been taking the same online test every 1 to 2 weeks over the course of the past 2 years. I keep taking the MBTI or more popular standardized ones, seeing like I took it 2 years ago. What did I get versus now? I like thinking about these questions and how my experience have changed who I am. Another theme that emerged from our analysis is that online tests often provide people with the opportunity to connect and share their experience with each other. People describe they often received confirmation and encouragement by posting tests or engaging in these discussions on disability-specific online forums. P12, who shared a neuropsychological test on Reddit, commented, "I was glad to post the study on Reddit. I was glad to be validated in that somebody read it, somebody understood it, somebody thought it was something." By posting and discussing the study on online forums, people also benefited from comparing themselves to groups of similar people within their communities, rather than the general population. Last but not least, we saw a fourth high-level theme emerging. Online tests are far from perfect. One common issue raised by the participants was the difficulty of knowing whether to trust an online test. Some people try to avoid online tests because they don't believe they are credible. Other people were worried that their information might be leaked to the insurance companies. Participants also struggled to interpret the results and consolidate the results with their assumptions. For example, we found the confirmation bias played a role in whether someone trusted and accepted the test results. For instance, P10 told us he would only trust the results if they confirmed his prior dyslexia diagnosis and what he already knew about himself. Another challenge was that online studies often fell into the same trap as professional diagnosis. People sometimes felt left alone with the results and did not know what to do with them. In summary, our interviews with 17 participants with cognitive or mental disabilities revealed that online tests, while with several challenges, can help fill gaps in the support systems for people with cognitive and mental disabilities. Please refer to our paper for more details and discussions, and welcome to contact myself with any questions. Thank you.